Good afternoon, friends and traders. Welcome to the Market Recap. I am Dan Hodgman. It is Tuesday, July 27th. We got some movement. Stocks took a nice little dive this morning. You know, both S&Ps and the NASDAQ, they were seeing continuous rejection over the last few days at their highs. And it eventually was bound to sell off just a little bit, give a little bit of relief there, take its time. You got to attract new buyers, and that's kind of what we're seeing right now. And one of the reasons I wasn't too concerned today watching this sell-off is you look at things like treasuries. Well, treasuries didn't flinch. You look at things like gold. Gold didn't flinch. It was strictly attracting new buyers, needed a little bit of a relief. So exactly what we got. We got a little bit of a relief sell-off. Buyers have come in this afternoon and picked it right back up. Now, on the other side, we got crude oil. Crude oil's really stayed in that range we were looking at yesterday. I've kept our profiles up that we put on there yesterday to take kind of a look at what the range has been. And really, we're still within that range nicely. We broke off the highs. We checked the lows. We moved through the lows just a little bit, but we traded right back inside that value area or that range that we extended over the last few days there. Gold stayed inside. So typically, if you see a big sell-off and you see gold starting to spike, that's transition and money moving, right? That's people recognizing that there is some concern going on in the equity markets. We're going to retreat to something that's a little bit safer, a little bit more comfortable. Gold, that was not the case. Little pop this morning off the open, broke right back down to settlement price, threw a little bit down towards those overnight lows, and then going to end the day pretty much unchanged there. And then you've got the euro opened up this morning, continued on the trend that it's been on here the last 2 days. But what we really like to see right around that equity open, that market moved right down to settlement, closed the gap to settlement price, checked it, and then got back on that directional move. So some really good opportunity there. And the 10-year note, you know, it's tough to talk about a market that really isn't getting too directional very often. So relatively tight day there. Treasuries are one of those markets that if you can get in on a directional move, it's going to pay you really nicely. But you got to be careful because it can get extremely tight, and you don't want to over leverage yourself or be in a position and not take those stops if that market starts to go against you. So we'll take a look at those here today. Other things in the news, the White House is considering, or the Biden and the White House is considering mandating the vaccine for all federal employees. We'll see what happens with that. VA announced it yesterday, and I believe some other states have done that for state-level employees. You've got the CDC reversing its order on mask policy, recommending even people fully vaccinated wear the masks indoors. So this COVID world seems to be coming back around. U.S. doctors are even saying kids in school, it's back to social distancing, back to wearing those masks this fall. We'll see how all this plays out and see how the reactions are, see if this Delta variant's going to have an effect on the marketplace. Maybe we'll learn a little bit tomorrow when the Fed speaks, which I did need to make a correction. I think yesterday I was having an absolute brain fart. I was thinking when it said announcement, I was thinking Fed minutes. That's not the case. Tomorrow is FOMC statement. So those of you in Step 2 Pro and funded accounts, make sure you are flat during that release. And anyone else out there trading, make sure you're flat during that. You don't want to get caught in a sticky situation there. We do have a lot that Powell may be saying. They may be looking ahead and thinking this possible Delta variant, possible concerns about COVID resurgence here could have a major effect on these markets, and maybe they're going to adjust their stances. Maybe they're going to adjust their language around what they're doing. Are they going to continue this conversation about tapering assets? Are they going to continue talking about inflation? Is the government going to think about, well, if we have to shut down again, are we going to start leading into stimulus? And what's going to happen? Are we going to see another stimulus bill? So there's a million different questions out there that we need to be conscious of, just paying attention to, and be prepared if it does have an effect on these markets. Speaking of these markets, we also got some big earnings coming in right now. So we'll keep our eyes on those, see if we can touch on them as they roll in here today. We've got, just to name a few, Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, Visa, UPS, Starbucks, Raytheon, 3M, GE, just to name a few. Huge companies having their earnings coming in here this afternoon. Any moment now, we should start seeing some information on those. So if you see it before I see it, drop it in the comments, and we'll take a quick glance at that one. Awesome. So before I get too off topic, let's go take a look at our markets here today and see what we've got going on. But first, I want to make sure I say hello to everyone. Brian, Bill, Norman, Sean, Jacob. I hope you had a great day as well. Zrain, Scott, good to see all of you guys in there. As always, thank you for joining me. And always, questions, comments, thoughts, drop them in there. Hit the like button, subscribe to us, turn on notifications so you know when we are going live. Had a great number of people come join us today in Coach's Playbook. Always a pleasure when you guys are in there. So thank you for that. All right. Now, before I get too off topic, let's go ahead and take a look at these charts and see exactly what we got going on here today. So as always, we're starting with crude oil, and here's what I had yesterday. Well, we put this profile on yesterday. We said kind of the high, $72. The low, $71.55. So that was kind of this range that's really worth keeping our eyes on. As we extend this out a little bit, hasn't really changed for the most part. Maybe open it up a couple cents to the upside and a couple cents to the downside. But for the most part, this market is finding extreme comfort trading within this range. So like I said to you yesterday, that's really what I'm paying attention for. Market opened up right at the high side, that 72 mark. To me, that's a great indication to possibly look for shorts. Where am I looking for that short? Well, I'm accepting that ranges have been relatively tighter. I know the low side of my value is down at 55. So if I'm looking at that, I'm thinking, hey, I'm going to try and sell the high here, and I'll buy it back if we can get down to 55. That, to me, is a great setup of a trade here, and that would have been my day. I would have sold 72s. I would have bought back 71.55s. I would have been out $450 a contract, and truthfully, my risk wouldn't have been too big. I'm probably going to risk a little over 20 cents in that trade to take that chance. That's how I'm looking at this, and that's where I look for opportunity. I can risk 20 cents because I know I'm looking at a profit target of greater than 40. I need my reward to be 2 times my risk minimum to enter into a trade. And that, to me, is a great opportunity today for a trade to catch that short. We talked about it yesterday. I'm going to talk about it again today. And you know what? Tomorrow, if we're setting up, I'm going to pay attention to where these markets are trading, and I'm going to look for opportunities at these areas as well, so long as we're still maintaining this range. Granted, tomorrow, keep in mind, 9:30 a.m. Central Time, we do have the crude oil inventories number. So I'm going to be a little patient waiting for that number to come out. But again, I'm really going to be paying attention to this value area high, value area low that we're seeing right now over the last 3.5, almost 4 days of trading. So I highly recommend make sure you put those levels on your chart and keep an eye where they're trading. Next, let's go ahead and look at the S&P 500, which was a nice sell-off. Now, S&P 500, you're going to see it a little bit clearer in the NASDAQ, but the S&P 500 still great opportunity. Opened up this morning, and really we had settlement price up above at 44.14 quarter, 44.14 quarter, right up here. Market opened up. And remember, what are we looking at as soon as the market opens up to determine if we're going to get directional or not? The first thing we're paying attention to, does it make an attempt to close the gap to settlement price? Well, simply put, no, never made any attempt. It never made new highs there. It continued in the downward direction. Boom. That's what we're looking for. We're looking at that and saying, I am looking for a chance. Now, where am I looking at that chance? I'm going to be a little patient. I'm going to wait to see if this market gets below those overnight lows. If we can get below those overnight lows right here at 43.90, then I'm getting a little bit more comfortable looking at this short. That's when I'm starting to look for some sort of short below that 43.90, showing acceptance below that price. And now acceptance is going to be a little bit different to everyone. You guys know me. I really like to look at that 4-hour chart. In a daytime frame trading, it's a little bit more difficult to look at acceptance on a 4-hour chart. I'm looking for more momentum. I'm looking for order flow. I'm paying attention to see if we're bringing in more sellers versus buyers, keeping an eye on the context of that market and paying attention to where the trades are being filled. Today it showed us We were showing acceptance below that 43.90. I'm not going crazy. I'm looking to the low of the week's or Friday's low right here, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to see if it'll come check that low. That's about 18 points in that trade. To me, that's a phenomenal opportunity for something to look at. Prior swing lows. Overnight lows are great, right? Especially, but once we kind of get away from that day, because this is Sunday night into Monday morning, I'm going to start to stray away from that once I'm into Tuesday. Regular trading hours where we have good volume, that's going to attract my attention a lot more than an overnight trade with lower volume. So something to think about as you look, as we move past through days. Now, overnight, prior night, and prior day, a prior evening high and low, those I'm relatively paying attention to. When we start to get a little bit further away from those days and we start getting a couple days down the road, that's when those are losing their significance to me. Then I'm looking for a little bit higher time frame or a little bit higher volumed areas to pay more attention to. Next, let's look at the NASDAQ, because the NASDAQ really set up nicely here to catch this short. We have settlement price up at 15,117.75. So you got settlement price right up here. You got the market checked it. We opened up right on our moving averages. We start to dip below them. To me, take the short and let the thing eat. We have seen rejection multiple times over the last couple days, right up here by that 15,120 mark. Multiple rejection, multiple opportunity. Run that bad boy down and take it as long as you can. That was a phenomenal trade. Now, to be realistic, what am I going to look at if I'm catching that short? Well, the first thing I'm paying attention to, does it move through 1540? Opening range low yesterday. If it moves through that, great. Where's my next point? I'm doing the same thing. I'm looking to not all the way down to Friday's opening, but where we picked up a little bit more volume. This is where I'm paying attention to, 14,970, 14,970. Everything after that, to me, is just gravy. Great opportunity. This is where you can start peeling a little bit off your trade, locking in some profits while letting those winners run if you have more than one contract on. All right, next, let's look at the gold, because gold has been in a similar pattern over the last few days. Opened up this morning, got a little bit of life in it, right? We saw equity starting to sell. We had that quick head fake or that quick movement that said, hey, maybe there's a chance for the sell-off to come or the rally to come. It did not attract enough. Once we start to see that this market is struggling to bring in new buyers as we're pressing higher, that's an indication of, well, directional move, right? What are the basic principles of volume? If market is moving in a direction but volume is decreasing, look to see the market change directions. That's exactly what we had here. We had a nice pop off the open. We attracted good volume. We start to see volume dip, a little bit of divergence there. That, in theory, should change direction of that market or at least slow it down. It changed that direction as soon as the sell-off started to come. We started to attract new buyers. We saw this market today really work right around not just yesterday's value area high to value area low, which here is a great chance to take the short on our highs, look to see it run value area low, but really just worked around settlement price all day. Settlement price in this market is 17.99.20. 17.99.20 is where this market rallied around. And keep in mind, we are seeing this market start to roll. Volume still is in August, but we should see a little bit more roll in this evening and into tomorrow. So make sure you're paying attention to the volume and trading where the volume is. You don't want to get caught in that market with the lower volume. And John will make sure he touches on that with you guys tomorrow morning. Next, let's look at the euro. Like we said, settlement price in the euro, 118.12 half. 118.12 half. And notice where this market, once we opened up and we had that little bit of a sell-off, right down to yesterday's value area low, you got settlement price. We have multiple indication that says, hey, here's a great opportunity. We're seeing one day of good trend to the upside. Now we're seeing another day. We're marking highs, right? We're still making continuous highs day after day. We're showing trend. We're showing a little bit of a bullish market over the last 3 days. We're not looking for the market to rotate inside. We are looking for weakness to get in on that trend. And it set up really nicely here. We broke to settlement. We broke to yesterday's value area low. Great opportunity to look for that long. and continue on that trend. And that's the basic principles of trend, right? When they say trend is your friend, you want to find those pullbacks. Pullbacks are interesting. One of the best ways to find them, to find where to get in on that pullback, is having confirmation and levels that it's pulling right back to. If it's pulling back to settlement price, close in that gap. If it's pulling back to value areas, those, we have two confirmations that are telling us this is a great opportunity to buy cheaply, right? We're keeping that risk relatively tight to continue our directional move. All right, lastly, let's take a look at this 10-year note. Like I said, not a lot to report on this market here today. We popped to little pop off the open, but for the most part, this market stayed inside, relatively choppy. I don't have a lot to say on it. I have not been trading the 10-year note when it is this tight. I need a little bit more range for my style of trading when it comes to treasuries. So I don't have a lot for us here. We never closed the gap to settlement. Settlement was down here at 134.06 half, 134.06 half. We traded around it in the overnight session. Once it broke through, we never came back and closed the gap in the opening range, or the regular trading hours, and really just chopped our way sideways. All right, everybody, those are our markets here today. Like I said, I hope you guys have had a great day. Ocean Blue, good to see you. Norman and Ram, good to see all of you guys. It's only Tuesday. We've got a long week ahead of us. We still got some great trading opportunity. A lot of earnings are coming through. I have the Apple Watch, and as we were talking there, thing was going off on news. Let's see here, anything interesting? No, it's just coming in about Starbucks earnings beat fueled by strong cold beverage sales in the United States, and more just about CDC updates. All right, let's see. Did any of them post that I haven't seen? Microsoft posts big earnings beat, but Windows revenue from device makers falls 3%. Apple still hasn't come in. I don't see Alphabet yet. But Microsoft earnings per share $217 versus $191 as expected, and revenue $46.15 billion versus $44.06 billion. Just astronomical numbers, billions with a B. Huge numbers there. All right, so let's go ahead. First and foremost, we'll start with our Bitcoin. Let's see where that Bitcoin is at today. I don't know about you guys. I struggle to watch this thing sometimes throughout the day just because it's so crazy all over the place. Thousands up, thousands down. Right now, we're still in the money there. $38,055 a coin. And then we've got our Airbnb. Well, stocks are down across the board. Airbnb is down just slightly today, $141. And you know what? A lot of our stocks are down here a little bit today. Tesla down $640 to $644. AMC opened up this morning at that $40 mark, sold off to $38.01. And then GameStop a little bit down there too. But none of these are crazy down marks, couple percent here and there. GameStop trading 178.54. And we got our VIX. No surprise here. VIX is slightly up, 19.2. Equities sold off. VIX should pop. Not a bad idea there. And then lastly, let's take a look at our yields, which are just barely down. 10-year 5, 30-year 17. So not a lot down on those either. Looking ahead, tomorrow, economic releases. International trading goods at 7:30 a.m. Central Time. You got the EIA Petroleum Status Report, 9:30 a.m. Central Time. And then FOMC statement, 1 p.m. Central Time. Like I said, I had a misread yesterday. That one is one you have to be flat for in Step 2 Pro and funded account. So make sure you are flat for that if you're there. And like I said, any other trader out there, make sure you're flat for that. It's not something you want to be stuck in an outright position with a lot of exposure when that announcement's coming up, because there could be a lot talked about tomorrow there. And all right, next thing, earnings. Still not seeing anything rolling in on though. Google advertising revenue rises 69% from last year. Just a headline blotter I'm seeing. I'm not seeing their numbers coming in. We'll give it one last refresh here. Alphabet coming in, yes. Beats on both Alphabet A and Alphabet C. Both beat in both earnings per share and in revenue. Quite a bit on revenue. Expected 56.9 $19 billion, got $61.88 billion. And man, oh man, earnings per share 27.26 as opposed to expected 19.24. So good numbers from them. Again, there's a lot more that comes out with this. So just because you see green and green doesn't mean everything's fine and dandy. We'll have to keep an eye on that stock and some more information that comes out there. Tomorrow, a couple earnings just to take a look at. Jeez Louise, my thing, when it refreshed, messed everything up. All right, tomorrow you've got Facebook. That'll be the big dog tomorrow, as well as PayPal. If I'm not mistaken, PayPal's been having some issues across the board. So we'll see what happens with their revenue. And then Pfizer. Hey, we all have heard a lot about Pfizer over the last few months. So we'll see how their earnings are going to do as well. Other than that, one last thing, and we'll get on out of here. We're going to start with this date in history. First and foremost, 1949, the first ever commercial jet makes its test flight. The jet engine, 1949. Wasn't very long before that. They were flying on a couple pieces of stick and some cut up sailboat sails and flying with that. So it's amazing how technology has increased. And then I think that's it. So that's what I got for us today. John will be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Central Time with the market forecast. So until then, everybody, stay safe, wash your hands, trade smart, and trade well. I look forward to seeing you guys in the markets. Take care, everybody.